Hello students, how are you all? I hope you all are doing great. I am Neha Rajvanshi and I welcome you all in today's class, that is English class of class 9th. So students, in today's video we will start reading with our next chapter from the book Moments. This is chapter number 5 and the name of the chapter is The Happy Prince. So again it is a very interesting story and this story is written by Mr. Oscar Wilde. So he is the writer of this story. So students, the name of the chapter is The Happy Prince. So who is this prince and why that prince is called a happy prince, we will come to know in our story. So now let's begin. First of all, before you read, so before starting the story, let's get some idea. The happy prince was a beautiful statue. So this happy prince, it was a beautiful statue. He was covered with gold. He had sapphires for eyes and a ruby in his sword, and this statue, it was covered overall with gold. Okay, so it was having a layer of gold all over the body, and for eyes it was having a sapphire. So sapphire is a very precious stone of blue color. So we can see in place of the eyeballs there were two precious stones, that is sapphires, and a ruby in his sword. So that statue was having one sword in one of his hand. So in that sword again there was a very precious stone, and this stone is ruby, and ruby is a precious stone of a red color. So this statue of happy prince, it was covered with gold, and for eyeballs it was having two precious stones, that is sapphires, and in his sword again there was one precious stone, that is ruby. Why did he want to part with all the gold that he had and his precious stones? Now the question is that the statue, it was having so much gold and precious stones, but still that statue, or we can say that happy prince, he want to part with all the gold that he was having and all the precious stone that he was having. So we have to tell the reason that why he was actually having this wish, he was having this desire. So this is the question and we will find our answer in the story. So now let's begin our story. High above the city, on a tall column, stood the statue of the Happy Prince. So now we all know that Happy Prince is a statue, and where this statue was, so in that city there was one tall column. So in this picture you all can see, students, this is the tall column. So such kind of tall column was there in the city, and over that column there was the statue of a Happy Prince. He was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. For eyes he had two bright sapphires, and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. And this thing we have also read that that statue of Happy Prince, he was gilded. Gilded means covered. Okay, so that statue was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. So one layer of gold was there all over that statue, and for eyes that statue was having two bright sapphires. So sapphire is a kind of precious stone. In this picture we all can see this stone is of blue color. So in place of the eyeballs he was having two precious stones, and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. So let's see what sword hilt means. In this picture you all can see this kind of handle of the sword is known as a sword hilt. So that statue was holding one sword in one of his hand, and the sword hilt, or we can say the sword handle, was having again a precious stone. The name of the stone is ruby, and ruby is a red colored stone. Like in this picture you all can see, this is the ruby red color stone. Okay, so that is statue of Happy Prince. It was covered with gold. A thin layer of gold was there all over the statue, and in place of the eyeballs he was having two blue color sapphire stones, and on the sword hilt that he was holding there was one big red ruby stone. One night there flew over the city a little swallow. Now in that city one night there was one little swallow. Swallow is a kind of bird. Like in this picture you all can see, this is the swallow bird. So one night this kind of swallow bird was there in that city, and he flew over that city, the city in which the statue of Happy Prince was there. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, but he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. Now the question is that this little bird swallow, why he is there in that city? So now the writer is giving the explanation, the reason, and the writer is saying that his friends, his means the swallow, the little birds, so all the friends that he was having, they had gone away to Egypt. Egypt, again, it's a name of a country, 6 weeks before, but he, that swallow, he had stayed behind, and now that swallow had decided to go to Egypt too, right? So why he is going to Egypt? So I am very much sure that you all have heard about migratory birds, right? There are so many kinds of birds who travel from one place to another according to the weather conditions, weather situations, right? If suppose in one of the place there is too much cold, snowfall is there, so and that's the situation, that condition is not at all suitable for the birds, then they shift to warmer places. Okay, so the same thing is happening here. This bird, this swallow, he was going to Egypt, and all his friends, they had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, and he was there left behind, and now he had decided to go Egypt too. So he was going to Egypt, he is on his way to Egypt, and now he is there in that city. All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived at the city. So he was flying throughout the whole day, and now it was the night time, and at night time he was there in that city where the statue of Happy Prince was. Clear? Where shall I put up? He said. I hope the town has made preparations. Now as we know that it is the night time, so now this bird, this swallow bird, he will take a rest, he will take a sleep. So now he was saying that where shall I put up, where shall I can stay, where I should spend my night. Next he said that I hope that this town has made the preparation for me, because everyone know that I am coming to this town. So this town, all the people of this town, they have made some preparation, some arrangements for my stay. So obviously this bird is being funny here, because no one is aware, no one actually bother about that little bird, but this little bird is being funny here, and he is saying that I just hope that all the people of the town, they have made some preparation, some arrangements for my night stay. Then he saw the statue on the tall column. So now that little bird swallow, he was searching for a perfect place, for a appropriate place for his night stay, and suddenly he saw the statue of the tall column, because we have read that this is statue of Happy Prince, it was over a tall column, so that bird was very easily able to see that is statue. I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. And when the little bird swallow, when he saw the statue of Happy Prince, then he decided that he will stay there, he will rest there, he will spend the night there. And why? So he thought that it is a very fine position with plenty of fresh air. Why there was plenty of fresh air? Because that statue, it was on such a height that there was a lot of fresh air, or we can say plenty of fresh air there was. So the little bird swallow, he decided that he will spend his night there near the statue, or we can say on the statue. So he alighted just between the feet of the Happy Prince. So when the little bird, he had decided to spend the night on the statue, so finally he alighted. Alight means to descend. So finally he descended just between the feet of the Happy Prince. So in this picture you all can see, this is the statue of Happy Prince, this is the sword that he is holding, and here we can see the ruby stone. Okay, and he is the bird, little bird swallow, and finally he decided that he will spend his night on the statue, and he descended here between the feet of Happy Prince. I have a golden bedroom, he said softly to himself as he looked around, and he prepared to go to sleep. So when finally the little swallow, he was there on the statue of Happy Prince, he was resting there between the feet of the statue of the Happy Prince. Then he saw all around, he looked at the statue, and when he realized that the statue was having a layer of gold, it was having golden layer, so he said to himself that I have a golden bedroom, because for that night that statue was his bedroom, because he will spend his night there only on the statue. So now he is saying to himself that I have a golden bedroom for myself. So again we can see here that this little bird, he is very funny, right? He is very light hearted. So now he is saying that I am having a golden bedroom for myself. So he said softly to himself, and then next he prepared to go to sleep. So now he was all ready, he was all set to have a sleep, but just as he was putting his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. But now suddenly what happened? When this little bird, he was all ready, he was all set to have a sleep, then suddenly one large drop of water, it fell on him. What a curious thing, he cried. So when one drop of water was there on him, so he cried and he said that what a curious thing, what a strange thing is this. There is not a single cloud in the sky, the stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. And why the little swallow, he is calling this thing to be very strange, very curious. So next the bird is saying that there is not a single cloud in the sky, because when that drop of water was there on his head, so what did he think? Obviously he thought that it is raining. So he said that it is very strange thing, because there is not a single cloud in the sky, but stars are there in the sky, and stars are quite clear and bright. Then how is it possible that it is raining? So he said that it is very strange, very curious thing. Then another drop fell, and when he said that thing, then again one more time one more water drop was there. What is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off, he said. So now the bird is thinking that it is raining, and he is saying that what is the use of a statue if it is not capable to keep the rain off. So he is there under the huge statue, and he is saying that I am under this statue, and if this statue is not able to keep the rain off, then what is the use of such a huge statue? Then next he said that I must look for a good chimney pot, and he determined to fly away. So now he just wanted to save himself from the rain. So he is saying that I must look for a proper place that will protect me from rain, and maybe that proper place may be a good chimney pot. So what chimney pot means? In this picture you all can see, we all know these are chimney pot. Okay, so now this bird is thinking that this statue is unable to protect me from rain, so maybe I should search for a chimney pot, because there I can protect myself, I can save myself from rain. After this he was determined to fly away. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw. Oh, what did he see? So when he was ready to fly away from there, then suddenly one more drop was there. Okay, so before he had opened his wings to fly away, one more, and this time this was a third water drop that was there, and this time he looked up, and when he looked up, so what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. So when he looked up, he was very much surprised. Why he was so much surprised? Because what did he see? He saw that the eyes of the happy prince, the statue of the happy prince, so the eyes of that prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. So why his cheeks are regarding as golden cheeks? Because we all know that the entire statue was having a layer of gold. So the bird saw that the statue of happy prince, it was weeping, it was crying, there were tears in the statue, in the eyes of the statue, and the tears were rolling down from the golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity, and it was night time, and the moon was there in the sky, and in the moonlight the face of the happy prince, it was looking very beautiful. And now when the little bird, the little swallow saw that the statue is crying, statue is weeping, there are tears in the eyes of the statue, so now he was having a feeling of pity, now he was having a feeling of sympathy, that why this statue is crying. Who are you? He said. So obviously the little bird, he is very much surprised. So he is asking this question and he is saying, who are you? I am the happy prince. So the statue replied, and the statue said that I am the happy prince. Why are you weeping then? And when the little bird came to know that that statue is saying I am the happy prince, so obviously his next question is that if you are a happy prince, then why are you weeping? Why are you crying? Why are tears are there in your eyes if you are a happy prince? Asked the swallow, you have quite a drenched me. Next the swallow said that why are you weeping? Why are you crying? And because of your tears you have quite a drenched me. Drench means to make completely wet. So he said that because you are crying, because there are tears in your eyes and your tears are falling down, and because of that you have drenched me. When I was alive and had a human heart, answered the statue, I did not know what tears were, for I lived in the palace. So now the happy prince is narrating the story that why he is crying, why there are tears in his eyes. So he is saying that when I was alive and at that time he was having a human heart. Okay, next he said that at that time the happy prince, he did not know what tears were. Why? Because he lived in the palace, he was the prince, so he was having a very comfortable life, he was having all the luxury, all the happiness right in his life. So he was having no idea that what pain is, what misery is, or we can say what a tear is. So the happy prince, he is saying the same thing. He is saying that when he was alive he was having no idea that what tears were, because at that time he used to live in the palace. Next he said that where sorrow is not allowed to enter, and in that palace sorrow, or we can say grief or pain or misery, all those things were not at all allowed to enter. And next he said that my courtiers called me the happy prince, and happy indeed I was, so I lived and so I died. Next he said that throughout his lifetime he was the happy prince, and all his courtiers, they used to call him happy prince, and actually he was very happy, and he lived like a happy prince and he died like a happy prince. And now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the misery of my city, and though my heart is made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. So next the happy prince, he is explaining the reason that why he is crying. So he is saying that till when he was alive, at that time he was having no idea about the pains, the misery, so we can say the sadness. So throughout his life he was the happy prince, he lived like a happy prince and he died like the happy prince. But after the death, his courtiers, they set him up there so high. So we all know that the statue was there on a very tall column. So now when he was there on such a height, so from there the statue, we can say the happy prince, was able to see the entire city. So now for the first time he was seeing that in his city there is ugliness, there is misery, there is pain, there are so many people who are poor, who are suffering because of some or other reason. And next he said that now his heart is made of lead, so this is the reason he is weeping, he is crying, because now he is saying that all the citizens, or we can say all the people of his country are not happy. Some of the people are there who are having some kind of misery, some kind of pain, who are suffering because of some or other reason. And when he came to know about this thing, so he is so sad, he is so upset that he is weeping, he is crying. What is he not solid gold, said the swallow to himself. So now when the swallow, he came to know that the statue of happy prince, it is having only one layer of gold. So the swallow is very much surprised and he said to himself that what, is he not a solid gold? Because earlier the swallow, he was having this idea that that statue is made of gold, entirely it is made of gold. So now he is very much shocked to know that that statue is not solid gold, but there is only a thin layer of gold. Next the writer is saying that the swallow, he was too polite to make any personal remarks. It means this thing he said to himself only, because the swallow, he was very much polite, so he doesn't want to make any kind of personal remarks. Far away, continued the statue in a low musical voice, far away in a little street there is a poor house. And now the statue of the happy prince, it is narrating the reason, it is explaining the reason that why he is weeping, why he is crying. So next the statue continued the story, and he is saying that far away in a little street there is a very poor house. One of the windows is open, and through it I can see a woman seated at a table. And one window of that house is open, and through that window the statue of the little prince is able to see that inside the house there is one woman who is seated at a table. Her face is thin and worn, and she has coarse red hands all pricked by the needle, for she is a seamstress. Next the statue is saying that the face of the woman is very thin and worn. Thin and worn means she is very much tired, she is very poor, and her hands are coarse and red. Coarse means rough, so her hands are very much rough, her hands are very much red. Why? And her hands are pricked by the needle. Why? Because she is a seamstress. So what seamstress means? Seamstress means a woman who sews. Okay, so that poor woman, she is a seamstress, she used to embroidery, right? So because of that her hands are pricked because of the needles, and her hands are very much rough, her hands are red, and her face is very thin, very tired. So that woman is very much poor, very much tired, and actually she is doing a lot of hard work, still she is very poor. She is embroidering flowers on a satin gown for the loveliest of the queen's maids of honor to wear at the next court ball. Next the statue is saying that because that woman is a seamstress, so she is embroidering flowers on a satin gown. So students, in this picture you all can see this is the embroidery of flowers. So that woman is embroidering such kinds of flowers on the satin gown. Why? For the loveliest of the queen's maid of honor, because that maid wanted to wear that gown at the next court ball. So one event was there, that is a court ball. So in this picture we all can see this is the ball dance. So such kind of event is there, and this is the gown, this is the satin gown. In this picture you all can see, and now that seamstress is embroidering flowers on the gown of the queen's maids of honor. In a bed in the corner of the room her little boy is lying ill, and now in that house in the corner of the room there is one of the bed, and on that bed the woman's little boy is there, and he is ill, he is not at all well. He has a fever and is asking his mother to give him oranges. So the boy, the child of that seamstress, is having fever and he is asking his mother to give him some oranges, but we know that the mother of that boy is very poor, very tired. His mother has nothing to give him but river water, so he is crying. So now the mother is very poor, she is not having anything to give to his son, she is not having any oranges, only the thing that she is having is river water, and because of that the boy is crying, the boy is weeping because the boy wanted to have oranges, but the mother is very poor, mother is not having oranges. So this is the reason the boy is crying. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, will you not bring her the ruby out of my sword hilt? So now the happy prince is having one request to the swallow, and happy prince is saying that swallow, swallow, little swallow, will you not bring her the ruby out of my sword hilt? So we have read earlier that the sword of the happy prince was having one precious stone, ruby, which is a red color stone. So now the prince is having this request to the swallow that he should bring that ruby to that woman. My feet are fastened to this pedestal and I cannot move. Next the prince is saying that why he is requesting to swallow. So he is saying that my feet are fastened to this pedestal. Pedestal means something raised platform, or here pedestal means that tall column. So he is saying that I am tied to this tall column, so this is the reason I cannot move. So I am requesting you to help that woman, I am requesting you to just take my ruby and give it to that woman. I am waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. So when the swallow he heard the entire story, so now let's see what is his reaction. So first of all he said that I am waited for in Egypt. So he is saying that I am going to Egypt, all my friends are there in Egypt and they are waiting for me. My friends are flying up and down the Nile and talking to the large lotus flower. So next he is saying that all my friends are already there in Egypt, and we all know about Nile, that is is the very famous river. So he is saying that all my friends are there in Egypt and they are flying up and down this very famous river, and they are talking to the large lotus flower that are there in Egypt. Soon they will go to sleep. So as of now they are enjoying, but very soon, very early, when there will be night, so they will sleep. So I have to reach there Egypt in daytime also, so that I can also enjoy along with my friends. The prince asked the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. But the happy prince, the statue of the prince, asked the swallow to stay with him for only one night, so that he can be his messenger, so that he can bring that ruby to that woman as a messenger of a happy prince. So now we can see that happy prince is actually really very kind hearted prince, and when he saw that one of his citizen is so much upset, so much tired and poor and suffering, so now he just wanted to help that woman, and for that he wanted to take the help of this little bird swallow, and he is requesting this swallow to be his messenger. The boy is so thirsty and the mother so sad, he said. So now the happy prince is again trying to convince the little bird. So he is saying that the boy is very much thirsty and his mother is very much sad. She is so tired, she is so poor. I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. So again the swallow is saying the same thing. He is saying I just want to go to Egypt, and he added that I don't think I like boys. So when the king said that the boy is very much thirsty, so swallow is saying that I don't like boys, so why should I help that boy? And next he is saying the same thing, that I just want to go to Egypt. But the happy prince looked so sad that the little swallow was sorry. It is very cold here, he said. So when the swallow he replied like this, so the little prince again he was very much sad, because he just wanted to help that woman, but he was unable to help that woman. So when he heard the reply of the little swallow, again he was very much sad, and when the swallow, the bird, he saw that how sad the prince is, so he was very much sorry, and he said that here it is very much cold and I cannot live in cold places. This is the reason I am going to Egypt, that is a warmer place. But he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. But at last, finally, the little bird swallow, finally he agreed to stay with him, but only for one night, and to be his messenger. So now we can see that little bird swallow, he is also a kind hearted bird. Thank you, little swallow, said the prince. The swallow picked out the great ruby from the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the roofs of the town. So finally, when the swallow was ready to be the messenger of the happy prince, so happy prince, first of all, he thanked the little bird swallow. Next, the little swallow, he picked out the great ruby that was there on the sword hilt of the prince, and then he flew away with ruby in his beak over the roofs of the town. So now he is flying away. The ruby was there in his beak, and he was flying away to that house where the poor seamstress was. Okay, so he is flying just to give that ruby to that woman. He passed by the cathedral tower where the white marble angels were sculptured. So while he was passing, while he was flying over the city, so on his way there was one cathedral tower. So cathedral tower means church. In this picture we all can see such kind of church, such kind of cathedral tower was there. So he passed by that tower, and on that tower there were white marble angels were sculptured. Sculptured means making of figures, and these are the angels of white color marbled angel. So such kind of sculptures were there over that church. He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing, and he also crossed the palace that was there in the city, and when he was flying over the palace, then he heard the sound of dancing. So here the writer is trying to say that in the palace everyone was happy, everyone was enjoying the life, and no one was having any idea about the people of the city, that how sad they are, how much they are suffering. So here writer is saying that when the bird was flying over the palace, he was able to hear the sound of dancing, because in the palace everyone was having fun, everyone was having all the enjoyment. A beautiful girl came out on the balcony with her lover, and when he was there over the palace, then he saw that one beautiful girl was there, and she came out in the balcony of the palace, and along with her there was her lover also. I hope my dress will be ready in time for the state ball, she said. And now this beautiful girl is saying, I just hope that my dress will be ready in time for the state ball. So again she is mentioning the same ball that we have read earlier also, and you know that woman, that seamstress, she is preparing a dress because of that event, and now this girl, she is also mentioning the same event, the same ball dance. I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it, but the seamstresses are so lazy. And now this beautiful girl is saying, just to, you know, I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it. So she is saying, I just wanted to wear a very beautiful dress, I wanted to wear a very beautiful gown, so I have ordered that, you know, flowers should be there. I have ordered to embroider flowers on my gown, but all the seamstresses, they are so lazy. This is the reason I am very much worried that, you know, my dress will be ready on time or it can't be ready. But we now all know that seamstresses are not at all lazy. This seamstress is very much hard working, and her son is having fever. Still that lady is working very much hard, and she is embroidering flowers on this gown. Okay, so now students, what will happen next, we will come to know when we will continue the chapter in the next video. So see you in the next video. Thank you.